This conference will now be recorded.
I don't know who she is, but hey, if she's going to participate, that's okay. So welcome to everyone. This is our ANCAN Throwing Bones CLL Pharmacist Kicking Heels and Cancer monthly support group for people with all kinds of blood cancers. And I had heard from a few other people, they're joining us. Nick, who also has PV, who was here last time, is supposed to be coming, but I sent him a reminder, we'll see. Summer's always hard for people. And we also have someone with AML supposed to be joining us, Loriana, and both of them will be part of a panel that I want you to all mark your calendars if you haven't already for August 30th. It's going to be an ANCAN partnering with Patient Power webinar for blood cancer. It'll be the evening of August 30th. And
5 Pacific time.
Thank you, Sally. That's right. And we'll have Tom will be there. He's a sponsor and he may be on the panel. Kenny, myself, and those other 2 people I spoke of. And Andrew and Esther Shore will be our keynote together as a couple who have dealt with 2 different blood cancers, both the patient Andrew and the care partner Esther. So it should be really exciting. And if you can pass the word around, and I'll be posting it if you want to share it. So that should be a really great event for us. And Sally, if you want to share it on my Loma crowd, that would be great too.
I will.
That'd be wonderful. So we have 3 newcomers tonight, and I thank you all for coming. I know that Christy has, if you don't mind me sharing, you have CLL, and Sue just identified Susie Q here, or Susie C, that she has multiple myeloma. Tim, would you like to?
I have CLL also.
That's what I thought. All right. So the way we're going to do this is, for those of you who are new, is we generally have everyone say hello and ask if anyone would like time to speak. And what I do then is Tom and I try to back time out how long that will take, and then we'll go back to those people who said they want to share tonight. But in the beginning, we'll if people do want to say hello and if they want to speak, we'll go back to you, if that works for all of you tonight. Does that work for you, Tom?
Sure.
Tom, do you have anything you want to share before people start jumping in?
So I'm Tom Henry. I'm one of the co-moderators. I am a CLL patient, and I have a web page for CLL patients called cllpharmacist.com. I was diagnosed in 2015, and at the moment I am in undetectable minimal residual disease. A nice place to be. And I just had my appointment last week, and it continues to be in complete remission. So I'm a happy camper. And welcome to our newbies, although I know Christy.
Welcome to everyone. And for those who, like you, Susie, don't know, I also have CLL. We have another moderator who's joining us this evening, and that is Kenny Capps, who has multiple myeloma. So he will be joining. I know he's joining us tonight. I don't know what time. So he'll be with us soon. Okay. So since we have some newcomers here, Susie, we know that you live in Tulsa, did you say?
Yes.
And I look forward to hearing from you a little later on once you see how things go with us.
Okay. That's good.
And Tim, I live in Boston, and Tom's in the Tampa area in Florida. How about you, Tim?
I live in San Antonio.
Okay. So we have Texas and Oklahoma tonight.
There you go.
Should have worn my boots and hat. Okay. Christy, hello. Tell everyone where you're from, and would you like time to speak this evening?
I'm from Indiana, and I'm okay.
Where?
It doesn't matter. Southern Indiana, Jasper. It's a little town about 15,000.
I grew up in Indianapolis.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I have.
Or what growing up I have accomplished. Let's put it that way.
Ooh, Indiana. Oh, wait, Warsaw, Indiana. I was born
I
there.
actually
I was
got a
born.
house on Warsaw. I got married and was going to go, my husband was going to work for Zimmer and he got a better offer in California and I only spent 3 days there.
Oh, wow.
Well, I spent only about, let's see, until the sixth grade, okay, and headed south to Florida.
And
So,
I was born in Warsaw, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So, oh my God, we have 4 people from Indiana. How often does that happen?
Yeah.
That's
You notice none of us still live there except one.
No.
You couldn't
40%
escape.
tonight are from there. That's I'm impressed by that. We have a new statistic for Indiana here.
Yeah. We represent.
And actually, I may call on you later, Christy, about some of the things you've been doing. So if you don't mind, I may call on you later to share that, to see if we can rally the troops.
Okay.
Here. And Al, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm hanging in there.
Would you like time to speak this evening and share? Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
No, and for you newbies, I am Al Ruvalcaba. I'm down here in Tucson, Arizona, and I was diagnosed with polycythemia vera last year in January. And I'm on hydroxyurea coming along. I think I've had about 4 phlebotomies. They're getting further and further apart. I'm starting to function a lot better from where I was last year. And I have another appointment, video appointment with my doctor. I'm in Tucson and I am being treated up at the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, Scottsdale, which is about an hour and a half away from us.
So for you that are unfamiliar with polycythemia vera,
Yeah.
it's an excess of red blood cells, and that's why Al referred to having to have phlebotomy. So he has to have essentially donate blood in order to get the red blood cells out of his system. So because the blood becomes really thick and causes all kinds of issues. So, CLL is excess lymphocytes. So, a lot of these conditions are, excess amounts of certain blood cells, and Al's is red blood cells.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. What is multiple myeloma in excess of, or is that something?
Mutated plasma cells.
Yeah. I don't think it's an excess as much as it is that, as Sally said, they're mutated. They function in the normal way.
But lots of them.
Yeah.
I never thought about it this way. Okay. And let's see. Jim, thank you so much for your sister coming this evening and learning that you're both originally from Warsaw, Indiana. That was very nice. Would you like some time to speak a little later on after we hear from your sister?
well, actually, no, but anyway, I'm Jim. Okay, I am the oddity here. Anyway, prostate cancer. And so it was found, okay, in the 2 large anyway, lymph nodes within the back. So anyway, I decided to join this crew too, because eventually they will start to can rear their ugly head. And so I'm not quite sure the things they will do to me, but I sort of want to have, okay, a sort of a feel for it. And I'm a disabled vet besides, and a let's see, okay, a VA disabled vet too. So
Well, thank you for serving.
retiree also, anyway, Air Force, which was great job, okay, in the computer industry.
Thank you for being with us, Jim. Lonnie, do you have anything that for us to save time for later on that you'd like to share?
So yeah, I'm in Harrisonburg, Virginia. My Indiana connection is I was there 2 weeks ago visiting. Northern Indiana.
I was gonna say now where, I gotta ask where, but yeah, I'm the only southern one, I think.
Ocean Elkhart.
Okay. Yep.
So I'm a CLL patient, diagnosed in 2019 in watch and wait. Since I was last here, I have established a relationship with a CLL specialist thanks to Tom's wonderful list. I saw Dr. Woyak at the James Cancer Center in Columbus, Ohio. Had a great visit there. Really feel good about that. One other thing I would say, I just a month ago had a 10-day bout with a kidney stone. And if you've never had one of those, be thankful. It's incredibly painful, but I'm doing fine now. I would welcome conversation later about how people are thinking about this Delta variant. I need to make a decision in a couple of days about whether I travel to the Midwest next week or not. So I'd just be interested in people's perspectives on that.
Great. I think there's other people here as well that have told me personally that they're interested in speaking a little bit about that too.
Yeah.
So thank you, Lonnie. And you can't go wrong with Jennifer Woyak. She's a very good CLL specialist, and they're doing some great research in her lab. So
yep, I feel blessed to have connected with her.
And she's got a great bedside manner from everybody that I talk to that sees her. So, you know, I think that's a big thing with your CLL doctor or any of your blood cancer doctors is you really have to feel comfortable with that doctor. So.
And they don't all have that.
Nope.
Yeah.
So it's what you can be comfortable with. So Lonnie, that's great. You have a CLL specialist now. I'm very happy to hear that. So Tim, do you have a CLL specialist?
You know, I keep reading about CLL specialists here and there, and I don't know what I have. I have a hematology oncologist. He's at the May Center here in San Antonio, and they're affiliated with MD Anderson. And I don't know what the definition of a CLL specialist really is. He seems to know what he's talking about when it comes to CLL, but I mean, I haven't come out and asked him, are you a CLL specialist? I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I like him. He seems very knowledgeable. But I also have to advocate for myself, and I just don't know if I should maybe seek out a specialist. There are no other specialists in San Antonio, though.
In multiple myeloma, we define a MM specialist as one who sees 300 to 500 multiple myeloma patients a year, whereas most oncologists, hematologists see maybe 5 a year. So, and most specialists are in research hospitals and are doing research on their own. I travel about 125 miles to see my specialist, which I've only had to see twice in 3 years. But they work closely with your oncologist and hematologist, and your local person does all the stuff that your specialist recommends. Like I have all my infusions, all my drug work, all my labs are done here in Santa Barbara, but I go down to Pasadena to the City of Hope if I, for my stem cell transplant or any, things that she needs to see me for.
And see, I was diagnosed in 2019. I think I had it before then because my white blood cells and lymphocytes were elevated prior to that. So probably since 2017, but I finally went to an endocrinologist that finally sent me to a hematologist to get it checked out. But that being said, I was thinking the same. I have an appointment with my oncologist here in a couple weeks, and I was contemplating asking him if he couldn't make a referral for me to somebody at MD Anderson in Houston.
Tom and I can suggest a few doctors for you, but if they're, when you say affiliated, are they?
They're the
They're,
extension of D. Anderson. They advertise like.
so your doctor would, and they'd be sharing files on the same system then, which is great. And as Sally said, it is good to have a local one if you're fortunate enough. Not even everyone's fortunate to have someone local who is an oncologist, hematologist, but if you're close enough to Houston, and how far is that? You'll have to excuse me not being familiar with how far.
It's about less than a couple 100 miles.
Oh, so doable. So
Yes,
I
yes.
would,
If I had to go there once a month, I could do that in a day.
and you may not even have to go once a month. It would depend on what kind of,
They work hand in hand.
yeah, it would depend on what kind of treatment you're on. If it's a clinical trial that's only at certain centers, Tom can speak on that with more eloquence with medical terminology than I can. I'm just giving you the layperson's speak that I can. But since MD Anderson is one of the best in the world, and if you have it close by, I would go. I've even considered going from Boston. Before I moved back and I was living in Florida and Miami, I would have gone to MD Anderson from there as often as I needed to. It's that good.
So I would assume that you would need a referral. Is that true, or does it depend on your insurance, or how does that work?
Typically, they will look for a referral from a doctor, but I think you can self-refer as well, and just get a hold of MD Anderson and say that you have CLL, you've been diagnosed, and that you would like, to see a CLL specialist. There's a bunch. I just posted in the chat a link to an article about CLL specialists and why it's an important thing to do. And, we have a lot of people that see a specialist once a year, or like Sally said, once every couple of years, that acts as the quarterback on your care, and works with a local hematologist, oncologist. So it's great that you're comfortable, your local guy. Within that article that I just sent you the group the link for, you can sign up for my list. There's a specialist in Braunfels, there's a specialist in Austin. You got about 10 or 12 at MD Anderson. So you've got a lot of options where you live. And so.
The one in New Braunfels, is that with Texas Oncology?
Yeah.
Okay. I hadn't heard too much about that one.
Yeah, they're not going to have the same resources that an MD Anderson is going to have. MD Anderson, according to U.S. News and World Report, which ranks hospitals, ranked #1 in cancer care in the country. So with a perfect score of 100, and that's based on a number of different things, whether or not they offer certain programs, and do they have magnet status for their nursing care, and a bunch of other, categories and hoops that you got to jump through to get that high score. So take a look at that article, and it may be helpful, and you can get access to my list of specialists through that article.
And I don't want to hoard the time, but also I have not seen the results of the FISH test. I know they did the flow test.
Yeah.
But I don't know of any mutations or anything like that.
How long have you been seeing them?
I've been seeing them since 2019. What happened, I went to my first hematologist, the one my endocrinologist referred me to, and he had the pathology done for me, and I got the report, and it mentions a FISH test, but I haven't seen any results, and nobody discussed them with me. Yeah. And then much care for him, so I switched over to the May Center for UT Health Science Center, and started seeing this doctor. So I've never seen the results of the FISH test, so I don't know what type of mutations I have. I mentioned it to the one I have now. He says, since you have no symptoms, yours is more than likely a slow growing, and you don't have any of the bad markers. But I mean, that's not very reassuring, though.
Yeah, and I have to constantly remind people that, we used to talk about unfavorable prognostic indicators, but that really played a big role when we were talking about chemotherapy. It doesn't play as important a role anymore, given the new drugs that we have. So, chemotherapy is being used less and less. But I think it would be valuable for you to know what your mutation status is. It would also be good for you to know what your IgA3 status is. And that's the one where actually, if you're mutated, it is the good thing to be. And so between the different deletions and mutations, it kind of gives you an idea of how long you'll go along on watch and wait before you need to be treated. So I have 17p deletion, which is the worst, prognostic indicator, and I needed treatment in 7 months. So you've already gone past me, having been diagnosed in 2019. But as I mentioned earlier, having been on a combination of 2 drugs, I'm now, they couldn't find 1 CLL cell when they looked at over 1 million. So there's a lot of hope today. There's a lot of new drugs coming out. But I always think it's good to know what's out there and what's coming down the pike. And a place like MD Anderson, as close as you are, even if you only go once a year to see them, I think it would be worth your while to spend that couple hours each way going down in the car.
Is there a recommendation on which one to request, or can you even do that?
I would recommend probably 3. So Philip Thompson, William Weirda, and Nitin Jain are 3 that I'm really impressed with.
Those would be.
I'll type those names into the chat, and so you can go back into the chat later on and refer to it and write them down.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the same ones I was going to say. So how do you like that? We're in concurrence here.
All right. Oh, that's encouraging.
And we're
Okay, I'll stop talking now.
Oh, that's so polite of you. Well, you're new for our group, and I'm so glad you asked these questions because it is important. Christy and I have a CLL patient in one of our other groups who didn't do that and wished she had. She had rushed into treatment with a generalist, and this is years ago. She's now in her second. Anyway, this was back in 2013, and she then found out when she finally changed to a CLL specialist, and it's who Christy goes to, and she has a local person now in that specialist, that she didn't need that first treatment. So it's so important to make sure you have that right person for you. But now she's doing what you would potentially do, and that she has a different local person who's an oncologist, hematologist who works in conjunction with a specialist who's farther.
And that's what I was hoping to accomplish. So I guess when I meet with him, I'm going to discuss it with him, and then maybe call MD Anderson, or maybe he can do it for me. I don't know.
You can always ask him to refer you for a second opinion, and but like, be political and just say, hey, look, I want to get a second opinion. I want to stay in your care, but I want to get their opinion and make sure that we're doing everything that we should based on their reputation. And I don't think that's I don't think in any way you're saying I don't trust you, or I think it's like you mentioned, advocating for yourself and wanting to make sure that you get the best care possible. And if that requires that you see a specialist, then that's what it requires. So I think you can do it in a way that he hopefully will not perceive it as a slight, and it can be a positive, and then he can work with one of those docs over there.
Okay. That's the way I'll approach it then.
Yeah.
I want to say in that regard that with my local oncologist, hematologist, I was very clear with her that was not disappointed in her. I was not upset with what she was doing. I simply wanted to supplement her care with a CLL specialist care, and she was fine with that.
Okay. Thanks for that information. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, I'm so glad. And Tim, I'm going to ask you to, in the chat, I'm going to ask you to send me your email. So in case you don't get the information here, I'll send it in an email to you.
You want me to give it to you now?
No, you can send it in the chat unless you want everyone to have it. Doesn't really, I mean, that's okay with you.
I don't know how to get to the chat. That's the problem.
Oh, okay. Then you better give me your email.
It's Taxer, Taxer,
Mhm.
222 at Gmail.
Are you an accountant?
Yes, I work for the IRS. I'm gonna put it out.
Man.
Okay?
Uh-oh, and you told me that.
I'm here to help.
And I
Tim, Tim, this is the wrong group.
Tim,
Hey,
your
Lena,
chat is a little bubble in the upper right-hand corner.
Defendum, anyway, I was in, anyway, the fiscal service, okay, of the Treasury.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes,
Same
I was.
age. I mean, same department.
Yes, in the Treasury. It was a fun job until I went over and went OPM. So,
Tim
Yeah, it's
and Susan, the chat is in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. It looks like a little bubble,
like a cartoon bubble.
like a cartoon
How they
bubble.
put
It's
the
the
words
center.
next to a character.
Yeah, I see it now. I see it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's chat. And you can send
Okay.
them to everybody, or you can send a private message to one individual.
I got you. Okay. Well, if
Okay.
anybody took down my email, that's not a problem. So,
All right.
Do you always get such a warm welcome when you share that you're with the IRS?
no, usually people don't say anything. They
Well, taxer222 at gmail.com. I didn't write it down. I won't remember it long.
right. All they do is run.
People from you. So it happened, Jim. Oh, we can't hear you, Tim.
I'm sorry. They move away from me as fast as they can.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I'm retiring at the end of the year, so everything's good.
So people won't run away from you anymore.
No, I hope
You look
not.
You look too young to be retiring.
Oh yeah, I'm in my I'll be 62.
Oh, wow.
Where are you located, Tim?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
Hey, partner.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right. You're my neighbor.
Where
I'm up
you
here
at?
near Abilene.
Okay, all right.
You're down there on 281 and I-35 and I-10 and all that mess.
Yeah, actually, I'm actually south of San Antonio in Floresville, which is a lot smaller, so we just relate to San Antonio. And I work in San Antonio.
I know.
I know Floresville from when I was at Kelly.
Oh, you were at Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Years ago.
Michelle, you're muted.
Michelle, you're muted.
I'm muted. Oh. So, was anyone here born in Texas? You missed it, Lynn. We have 4 people here who were born in Indiana. So.
I was born in Paris, Texas.
No, not me. I'm an Air Force brat, so I was born up north.
I was born at Wright Pat Air Force Base.
Air Force type. Are we retired?
So you were born, Sally. So was one of your parents in the Air Force?
My father was a captain in the Air Force.
And Tim, your parents?
My dad was a Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force.
Top enlisted rank.
Yeah.
I'm outnumbered.
Chief, and yes. Okay, I was both. I was a Mustang.
I think we're outnumbered. The Army's outnumbered tonight by the Air Force too. So, all right. So, Lynn, thank you for joining us. Tim is new, and you just gave a welcome, and he has CLO. So I'm so glad that you have a fellow Texan here.
I am too.
Tim, I go to MD Anderson in
You
Houston.
do? Okay.
Twice a year.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. I've got a hematology oncologist here in San Antonio at the May Center, but I was contemplating getting a referral to MD Anderson and them working in conjunction with each other.
I think that's a great plan. My doctor at MD Anderson about 6-7 years ago offered to turn me back over to an oncologist in Abilene. And I said, no, I'll just stay with you. It's not that bad. I can make the drive back and forth. And
yeah, twice a year. Twice a year is not bad.
Yeah, well, back then I was going every month, and then once a quarter, and then it began to taper out. I went into treatment pretty quickly. I was diagnosed, and 3 months later, I was in treatment. I had SLL and bone marrow involvement, dropping counts, and all that stuff.
And see, this is one instance where I'm almost glad to have had diabetes, because with diabetes you check your blood every 3 to 4 months, and had that not been the case, I probably wouldn't have found it right away anyway.
Do you have any symptoms?
I have no symptoms. My white blood cells have been about 16, and my lymphocytes have been about 9, but all my other blood work is normal.
That's pretty incredible.
And it's been like that for the last couple of years now. I mean, since I've been diagnosed.
Yeah, I am.
Michelle, in CLL, do they have, I mean, in MM, they have what they call MGUS and smoldering MMs, and that's sort of a watch and wait. Is that similar to CLL?
I guess smoldering would be. What do you think, Tom? In that we don't get treated right away.
Yeah, that's what in MM they have that. As long as the percentage of plasma cells in the bone marrow is less than 50%, you know, closer to 40%, then everybody just sort of watches and waits, because many of the people who have smoldering never get full-blown multiple myeloma.
Yeah, there's like a pre-CLL, I think it's MBL, which is high lymphocyte count, but without the markers to say for sure it's CLL. And a lot of times that does progress later on to CLL. And then we have a lot of people with that, you know, like unlike myeloma, where pretty much when you get diagnosed, you're going to start treatment, you know, pretty quickly. We have a lot of people
3 days.
that go, yeah, we have a lot of people that go for many, many years. You know, there's a lady in my local Tampa area support group who's now on her 4th cancer, and CLL is her 4th, but she went 17 years in watch and wait before she required treatment.
Wow.
So, and so they call that indolent, you know, CLL, very slow progressing, and typically no symptoms or mild symptoms. And so I think it's kind of like smoldering, but you know, there's not the urgency to start treatment as quickly as there is in myeloma or one of the acute leukemias.
Right. Well, in smoldering, people can go for 10, 15 years and just smolder and never get beyond that, or have no bone involvement. If the bones if we don't get lytic lesions or something like that, then they pretty well leave it alone.
So you have a much jazzier name for yours versus, but also the average time for watch and wait to treatment anyway is, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, is 3 to 3.5 years. Is that the average?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've ever seen a number for sure on how long it is. Again, it goes back to what Tim was talking about with that, haven't seen the fish test. And so that very often is a predictor of how long, you'll stay in watch and wait. And so, the genetic marker that's appears to be the slowest growing is 13q. And then the opposite, 17p, seems to be the fastest. So,
And that's the same in multiple myeloma.
yeah.
The same markers?
17p is a precursor of can be a problem if both 17p on both chromosomes are gone. That means TP53 is gone, which is a prognostic, not a good thing. Whereas 13q is pretty standard in almost all multiple myeloma, but it's the translocations of, I happen to have a standard one, which is called T1114. But if you have a 14-4 or something like that, then, you're going to have a harder time getting through it.
That's interesting. We have TP53 as well, and as you know, 13q. So Tim, you had talked about you had had the FISH test and flow cytometry. I know when I changed places for my second opinion and it ended up being my place of treatment, they ran them all again.
Okay.
Even though I just had them, in my case, I had just had them like a month and a half before.
And like I said, the pathology test indicated that a FISH test had been done and was being provided to the previous hematologist, but that wasn't passed on when all my other records were passed on from the first one. So I don't know. I wonder if I could go back to the first hematologist.
You want them done again. You want them done everything fresh.
Yeah. So fish can change over time. And so even 2 years, most of the time when fish changes, it has to do with patients who have received treatment, but you can spontaneously have a mutation that you didn't have before. And so they would likely repeat them. I was kind of an odd case because I got started at Duke up in North Carolina, and then I came down here to be the chief pharmacy officer at Moffitt, which at that time was the only comprehensive cancer center in Florida. And so rather than go back up to Duke, I was working at a cancer center. I just established a relationship here because I was planning to go back to North Carolina. And then I liked it so much in Tampa, I just wound up staying. So I've stayed with this doctor. So I didn't really repeat my labs, when I first started down here. But they may. I would think they probably will.
And they may want to do next generation too, rather than FISH. So.
Yeah. So one of the things that, like an MD Anderson has what they call a patient portal. And once you go to get care with them, they'll give you a password to get into the patient portal and become logged into the patient portal. They'll give you a code that gets you in, lets you set up an account. And then from then on, you can go in and look at anything that's in your chart anytime. So you can go back and look at results. Yeah. So print them out, take them to your other doctors, your general practitioners, bring them to your local hematologists, oncologists if they're not already sharing it. So, that's another one of the benefits of being treated in one of the bigger, cancer centers.
At UT Health Science Center, they do that now too. I've got a portal and everything's online. I can go look at it from the time I started with them. Now I can see all my blood work in the history of it.
Okay, great.
My specialist and my local guy are on the same portal, so everybody shares everything back and forth.
Yeah.
And you had said your hospital is affiliated, so that's what I'm thinking is they may be on the same, or if not.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Oh, Lynn, who do you go to at MD Anderson?
Well, since I have small lymphocytic lymphoma, appointment was made with the lymphoma clinic. Therefore, I go to see Dr. Felipe Samaniego. He's one of the, now he's getting to be one of the older doctors there in the lymphoma department. And I actually started off with an unusual regime. I started off with Rituxan combined with a drug called Revlimid.
Ah,
Or,
my favorite drug.
yep.
Yeah, it
Or
wasn't with me.
also called lenalidomide, and it's a derivative of thalidomide.
That's
And I
right.
took it for 3 months and it didn't work. And so at that point, the doctor said, we got a brand new drug. We're going to switch you over to ibrutinib, and you're going to also get the Rituxan again every week for 4 or 5 weeks, and then monthly for about another. Well, I actually, all said and told, I probably had about 20 doses of Rituxan.
So,
Sally, how was Revlimid for you?
I've been on it for 3 years and I'm fine with it. I'm in stringent complete response and MRD negative.
Very good.
But I also had a stem cell transplant, so.
My neighbor, and we kind of joke about this, my neighbor who lives 55 miles southwest of me or south down at a
Your
little
neighbor?
community. Yeah, little community called Robert Lee. She also has multiple myeloma, and she's going to MD Anderson next Monday to begin her stem cell transplant process.
If she has
And
any questions, Lynn, have her give me a, my email address is in the chat. I'm a coach now, and I can answer all the questions. Her doctors don't know to answer, or she's too embarrassed to ask. Like
okay,
what do you pack for, a stem cell transplant, or
Yeah, that's important.
things that patients don't know, what to ask. So my email is in the chat, and I'm a myeloma coach with Myeloma Crowd, and I'll be glad to help her.
okay. She she's I guess starting the process on the 9th, and then the week of the 23rd will be the infusion week. Wait,
Yep.
I stop. No, that's when she says she starts getting the heavy duty chemo.
Well, it's
So
only one dose and it lasts only half an hour. But the biggest thing she has to do is eat ice for 30 minutes before, all during the infusion, and 30 minutes after, and she will not get mucosis. The
she
most
will not
important,
get
the
she will
blisters in
not
your
get
throat,
okay.
mucosis.
She said that it will be October before she comes home.
Really? I was home in 12 days.
Yeah, I was home in 14 days.
Yeah.
Well, home is 400
Depends on
miles
where you're
away.
treated. I know
Oh,
here it's 30.
they want her to stay within 30 minutes of the hospital for the first month.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, like I say, if she's going to start harvesting next week, also one of the secrets to harvesting is take Claritin, and it has to be Claritin, not Claritin D, not Benadryl, but Claritin an hour before she starts harvesting, and it'll help with the bone pain.
so Susan Cunningham, Susie Q there. Since this might be a good time for you were just starting to participate, so I'd love to hear from you.
Yes,
know-
I had my stems. I have MM, and I got it very severely. I got a stem cell transplant in November of last year. It went wonderful. I had no problems from it whatsoever. My blood count went right up. I came home with not many problems at all, other than the fatigue, which that's something they don't really explain to you. I am now on Darzalex. After my stem cell transplant, I had been on Revlimid throughout the whole time. I was diagnosed in 3 years ago. So I went through chemo, I went through a lot of different things. I had a reaction to the Revlimid after my stem cell transplant. So now they have got me on Darzalex, the injection that they put in your stomach. I'm handling it very well. So I have felt better than I have in a long time. But I do have a question. Protocol for getting your childhood immunizations. I have been told by some people you do after the stem cell transplant, and then sometimes you don't. So I would like comments on that.
I had mine all a year after my stem cell transplant, and I had titers done on measles and mumps, I think, and I didn't need those revaccinations because I still had antibodies for those. But
Okay.
I had 4 different pneumonia vaccinations, plus, what are they called? The DPT or whatever the series of 3.
Diphtheria.
Right.
Yeah.
I've had all those. And there was some confusion with my local doctor. They couldn't get a straight answer from anybody of what I was supposed to have. And I do have a list of when you can get all those, and I will send it.
I'm sorry, everybody keeps cutting out on mine. I don't know. I'm hearing like half.
I have a list. I will email you.
Okay, thank you.
What vaccines?
Yeah, because I've had a problem with my insurance company wanting to pay for.
Medicare paid for all mine.
Had my stem cell transplant, and that's the only place in Oklahoma that gives the stem cell transplant. So now they want my oncologist here to do it, and my oncologist doesn't do them here. So he wants me to go to my primary care.
My primary care is the guy who did them.
Okay. Well, that's what I've got an appointment in 2 weeks with my primary care to go over it.
The only problem I got into was because the injection center where I got my shots, they're not used to giving measles and mumps and diphtheria to an adult. So they have to give them, you have to get like 3 shots instead of 1 because of the dosage size.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's a little confusing.
Yeah. Well, that's what my primary care is, or my oncologist here, Dr. Keller, which is very good. They're associated with MD Anderson also. He said that there is a protocol to give them. Now, what I've read on some things, it says you're supposed to get them over a period of 1 year to 2 years. Is that true?
No, you can't have them all at once. Well, some people get them all at once. My doctor didn't want them all at once, so I had mine about every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks I'd get a new one.
Okay,
but it was
that's
a year
good to
after my
know.
stem
Yeah,
cell
I am doing well on Monday, and I was 1 point low on my protein. That was the only thing I was low on. He said my blood work looked better than most healthy people. So,
Good for you.
And it's been that way for the last 3 months. So I'm doing very, very well, except for the fatigue that I still get.
That'll last for 2 years.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I take lots of naps.
Yep, and that's all you can do is you listen to your body, and if you need a but the most important thing is hydrate. Drink at least 80 ounces of water or liquid a day.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I do. I drink an awful lot of water, and I switched to bottled water because of the Tulsa water system. So I thought that would be better.
Okay. Well, send me your email address again, and I will get that to you.
I will, Sally, and thank you so much. And thank you to the group.
Well, a warm welcome to you, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Yes.
I sent the link to Linda, and she may showing us. She's trying to download the link. She says, they just sent me a note that their internet is really slow, so she may not
Oh,
make it.
okay. Yeah, that's why I keep getting cut out here.
And Sally, I need your email so I can share that with Linda.
It's the first chat. It's the first chat message.
I wasn't on at that time.
Oh, okay. I'll just
So,
send it to you again.
okay.
Lynn, you might want to suggest to her to call in. She can just call in on the telephone. If you give me a second, I'll put the call-in information for you.
Okay.
So Michelle, I don't know if you noticed, but Susan Buick came in late, so.
I thought I saw her down there coming in and out.
Yes.
Hi, Susan. We haven't seen you in a while. Nice to see you. I think did you have your family visiting?
She's muted.
We can't hear you, Susan.
You're muted,
There.
Susan. There we
Okay,
go.
am I on? I've been trying, but it wasn't. Sometimes I think I need a new phone. Sometimes it doesn't pay attention. So, but I
You're
still,
You're good.
well, I'm hitting it, but it's not doing anything because now it says I'm paused. I'm listening.
We can hear you.
Okay.
So how are you doing? Are you on treatment now?
I am. Yes, I am.
I thought the neck looked a little thinner.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot thinner, Tom. A lot.
Yeah, well, I was being kind.
I know there's still some remnants, but not bad like it was.
Good.
Yeah, I'm on well, let's see. I just started 200 milligrams venetoclax.
Perfect.
So I've been going. I went 3 times this week. I go in the morning. I get up in the morning and take it at 6 a.m. so that I can go for blood work at noon, so they can check to see how it's doing. And my numbers have come way down, like less than 10 for my white blood cell count.
Perfect.
And they're staying pretty much the same. So my CLL nurse is very pleased with me. So she just says, keep it up. And I just drink water. In fact, I got I don't have it right here. The last time I went, they gave me an AbbVie water container.
Nice.
I've never gotten
it looks kind of like Al's because it's clear. It's clear and it has a little AbbVie on the bottom.
As much money as they're paying for that venetoclax, you should get maybe a bottle of bourbon with it.
You'd think so, yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, I guess no. My pills say 000 on it because I filled out like in. I don't think all the provinces don't have the same plan, but I did fill out some forms so that our provincial health is paying for it. So my little bottle just has 000. I don't know really how much it costs. Whatever it is, it's doing what it's supposed to do. So that's the good news, right?
Well, on this side of the border, it's $14,000 a month.
Holy. So what do you? So you must all have insurance that covers that?
Yeah, I mean, mine was 14,000, and with TRICARE being retired military, it's $33. So.
Wow.
Revlimid is $22,000 a month.
Woo.
Yeah, mine is 12,000 a month.
So you actually see that on a bill?
What's that?
Do you actually get a bit like you see that like on a document statement?
It says we billed the insurance X and they paid Y,
Right.
and you owe $33.
Oh, $33 isn't too bad then, is it?
No, it's not.
Oh.
So do most insurances pay for the treatments?
Most people
Yes.
do not. I'm just saying, as a pharmacist, I'm very aware of what it costs the pharmacy for that drug. And so, yeah, that's what the most of the oral drugs in for CLL are about $12,000 to $15,000 per month if you had to pay cash.
But the insurance company pays for a lot of it?
Yeah, like I said, my copay is $33.
So what about the Oben, the Gaziva, like the?
I saw the number on that, and I think throughout the course of treatment, it winds up being about 60,000 for the 6 months that you take it, which is not bad.
Just curious.
It's not really horrible, you know, when you consider that the venetoclax is 14,000 a month.
Right.
Yeah, I did a cost comparison with the Brutinib, which I was on, and what you're on, Susan. And if you're on that drug for a year and in the States, it would be about $200,000 total.
Woo.
You know, for the 1 year of treatment. But I have a friend that did it, and he now has been on nothing for a year. So, you know, when you get down to that,
how many years?
3.5.
Okay, the number blanked out. I just heard years.
Yeah, so you know, he was on the drug for the 2 drugs for a year, came off of it, and has not gone back on it now 3.5 years. So
that's really good for it to last. Well, yeah, the venetoclax is doing what it's supposed to, and I have I'm having another infusion of the Gaziva on the 12th of August.
Nice.
And I think she said just like 1 a month.
Yeah.
I've had two. So I think that means I would have this one coming up August, and I have 3 more.
Okay.
So it's doing, I mean, I'm still tired.
Yeah.
But being tired and retired, I can lay down whenever, right?
That's exactly right.
That's the best thing, right?
Yes.
Tim is hoping to get there in a couple of months, he said. The year.
That's exactly right.
Well, it's the best, just to be able to go and lie down.
Yeah.
In fact, that's usually because I get up early to take the venetoclax, and then I go back to bed, and then I get up again, and I go and have my blood work, you know. And I have to wait at the cancer care for the results of the blood work, and see my treatment nurse, and then I come home and I have a nap.
Not bad. Life is good.
It works, you know. Well, just sitting and waiting is tiring.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, you can't go anywhere.
The combination is working for you, Susan.
As long as it's working, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And our COVID numbers are down, so I hope to see my grandkids on the weekend without well, at a safe distance, because still, but between my health and the grandkids aren't vaccinated. Of course, they're too young. All's good.
Your numbers on the Delta variant, are they going up? I have not been following Canada.
They could be. Let me see. I just happen to have today's newspaper on my laptop. Well, we're rolling back pandemic restrictions for back to school. They still want us to, we don't have to wear masks anymore, but our top doctor's still encouraging Manitobas to keep masks on. So I'll be keeping my mask on.
California just went back to masks.
Michelle, we had a caller connect in. That might be Linda.
Yeah, it's me. Can you hear me?
Oh, we do have her. I've been looking fast and frantically for the phone number, but I couldn't find it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, awesome. Great.
Very clearly, Linda. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Linda, you might tell them, I was telling them earlier that you're going for the stem cell transplant. You might share the schedule. And I know that Sally and Susan are both have had the transplant, and they might have some
Oh, wow.
suggestions.
Okay. We leave Sunday for Houston, MD Anderson. So it'll be my first week of testing and injections and getting the central line implanted. And then the following week, they'll start harvesting the stem cells. And so around August 24th, I think, is when I'll be admitted to the hospital. Is that similar to what y'all went through?
Yes.
Yeah, I was
Exactly.
only there a week before my actual transplant. It was actually 6 days after I had went there. They did the collection immediately.
Okay. Wow. Well, I guess I get an echocardiogram, a
Yeah.
bone marrow biopsy, and all that kind of happy
Make
stuff.
sure.
Oh,
when
okay.
you-
See, I had all that done in Tulsa before I even went.
So did I. But make sure that when you get your bone marrow biopsy, request sedation. Do not allow them to do it with a local.
No, right.
Oh no, they're going to put me out. They're going to put me out. I'm already scheduled to be put out. Yeah, I had one. I was in the hospital when all of this first started in February, and I did not have anything but a local, so I knew I didn't want to do that again.
No.
Never. They couldn't even get it the
Yeah.
first time. They kept saying my bones were too hard. And the question my patient advocate said, who finally stopped the procedure and said, if her bones are too hard, why are they breaking?
Oh my God.
Right.
So anyway,
Where are y'all? Where are y'all located?
I'm in Santa Barbara, California.
No, I'm in Tulsa,
Okay.
Oklahoma.
Okay. You're not too far from us.
No. No, we're adjoining states.
So
So
Linda,
what group is this? I'm sorry, I'm really behind on what group is this?
blood cancers,
Blood cancers, okay.
multiple
How do I
myeloma,
find out
CLL,
about you?
beg your pardon?
Are y'all a Facebook group, or how do I find out about you?
Hi,
If you
Linda.
can give Michelle your email address or have Lynn give it to her, she can put you on the mailing list.
Awesome. Okay.
Hi, Linda. This is Michelle Nadine Baker. I am the co-moderator of the group, along with Tom Henry is here as well. We have another moderator who has multiple myeloma, and he's not here this evening. He wrote a note and he gives his apologies. But anyway, we meet once a month, the first Thursdays of every month. It's for blood cancer patients. And as you hear, we have people helping each other and explaining what they've been through and what has worked best for them. And that's part of what this is. It's a virtual support group. It's video. We just hear your audio, but we get to see everyone's face for the most part, unless they rather not have that happen. And while you're in the hospital, if you would like to join us, our next meeting is September. Hold on, don't go away.
Okay.
September 2nd. And when did you say you're going to the hospital?
Probably around August the 24th.
So
I may be in the basement, as they say.
Oh, if you would like to join us, Lynn maybe can remind you, but if you'd like to give me email, or actually Lynn, can you share her email and to me directly in the chat?
No, she
Yeah, I
can't
just
use
gave
the
it
chat.
to him.
She's on the telephone, Michelle.
No, I know. I asked Lynn if he could share it in the
She
chat.
can't use the chat. So if
Lynn can share it in the chat, but if Linda, if you don't want to share it with everyone verbally, or if you would like to.
I'm not, no problem. I can tell you what it is
Okay.
if you're ready. Okay. It's L Harmon, HARMON 8629 at gmail.com.
L Harmon?
Yes, 8629.
Yep, at gmail.com.
So
Right.
this is Lynn. This is Linda. This is Rick Davis. I run the whole group. We run a lot of different groups. The name of our organization is ANCAN, Alpha Nancy Charlie Alpha Nancy, and you can find information out about us on ancan.org.
Okay.
ANCAN.org, and if you go to that web page, the homepage, you'll find under groups blood cancer, and then all the information about the moderators will be there, and we'll add you, and you'll get a reminder. We've also got a really interesting webinar coming up on the 20, is it the 29th or the 30th, Michelle? We're
August
30th. And we'll be sending information out on that, but you might find that interesting too. We've got people within the same family talking about their disease. So one person, it might be what have we got? A father and a daughter, and sisters and mother and yeah, we got all kinds of different, but one has and one hasn't, and the idea is, how do people talk about their disease within the family?
Michelle, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
I was lucky enough to get the link off of Facebook. I found it on Facebook when I was rolling through my regular Facebook page from you. How do I get on a regular, I don't know, contact or meeting invitation? How does that work?
That's why I asked for your email.
Okay, so you're going to send me invitations or whatever?
I will, ANCAN will have it and send you out the invitations. And if I sometimes will send via Facebook little reminders. I will post it always on my Facebook, but I sometimes will send little messages if I have the time to people, to our regulars here. And
okay.
Do you do Facebook Messenger?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you'll be getting it in various ways. Then he'll get the email from ANCAN, ancan.org. And you'll see it on my Facebook. You'll see it on Tom's Facebook. There he is. You've moved. It's like everybody moves always. And I will try to send you a messenger message, but I don't always get to do that. But
okay. And I might send y'all a friend request if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, and it's always the first Thursday of the month.
Okay.
At 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. your time.
Right.
I'm missing somebody because I know it's 5 p.m. Pacific time. Who did I miss? Mountain time? 6, yeah. So, so Tim, I'm so happy that you joined us, and I hope we also see you on the 30th, because that'll be very interesting, and it'll be a very active webinar with the different people we have. And our partner is Patient Power. Are you familiar with Patient Power, and do you watch Patient Power? It's a great resource.
I have not yet. I've seen it briefly on Facebook, but I have not watched it yet.
Well, there is a program next week on Patient Power on CLL and skin, how it can affect your skin, and that would be for SLL2 and skin reactions. And I will be posting that again. I happen to be the host of it, so little self promotion there, but they're also our partner on the webinar. So,
Michelle, just to give Linda a little perspective, because she can't see the screen, but there are 13 of us on the call. And counting Linda, there's 3 with multiple myeloma. Rick is, I assume, not a cancer patient. He's a moderator, organizer.
He is a different type.
I'm not a blood cancer. I'm here basically just sort of to help watch out. I am a cancer patient, but I'm not a blood cancer patient.
So that the remaining 9 people, are they all CLL, SLL patients?
Al
Well,
is,
Al has PV,
And AML.
Yes, I have prostate cancer.
and Jim's also a prostate cancer with some lymph node involvement that might become a lymphoma.
Okay.
We're all
And
a
Christy,
sick bunch of puppies.
who is over there muted. Hi, Christy, with all your books on the bookcase behind you. Ooh, I love books. They're my best friend.
You know, I just pared them down, actually. That's pared down. I got rid of probably 30% of them. So I'm a therapist, so I have to have a lot of books to make me look smart.
And Christy, do you have blood cancer?
I do. I have CLL, yes.
Okay. And where are you located?
She's in
we-
Indiana. She muted for a second there.
I mean,
She's
what
in
was
southern
that?
Indiana, Lynn.
Southern
Oh,
Indiana.
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm a Hoosier.
and actually, this is great because so there were a few things in the beginning. I know some people wanted to talk about the Delta variant and if it's safe to travel or not. And
Yeah.
Christy, I wanted to join me in chatting about what some CLL patients are doing right now, considering that not only CLL patients, but other types of blood cancers as well, with CLL unfortunately being the worst, are not getting the immunity that we were hoped to get, the antibodies through the vaccine, through the COVID-19 vaccine. So I know some of you had mentioned early on and have contacted me personally that you want to talk about this and what to do, what's safe, what's not. So Sally?
I just came back from the coaches summit in Utah last week, and one of our keynote speakers was Dr. Garth Morgan from New York Sinai, and he also ran the Arkansas clinic or hospital for 5 years after Belogi, or however you pronounce it, left. Anyway, this was one of the topics we had asked him to speak about, was COVID, antibodies, the vaccines, etc. And on the topic of getting a booster shot vaccine, he suggested, he says, legally or illegally get one, and he's sure that once Pfizer has been officially blessed by the FDA, it'll be easier to get a third booster shot for those of us who are immunely compromised. The other thing is we asked him about traveling. He said, get your vaccines and then pretend you didn't have a vaccine and keep covered up, stay away from people, but live your life and travel.
So was that for multiple myeloma patients solely, that message?
He didn't say solely, but it was a multiple myeloma coaches summit. So
thank you. Okay, so there's a lot around that. And for CLL, there's some additional things. The Leukemia Lymphoma Society last week, I've lost track of time. Last week or the week before came out with some results of the first part of their study for those who had their blood taken to test for COVID and the antibodies.
right.
And they broke down the various blood cancers and the response rates. And what they have found and what they're going to be moving forward. And I believe there were 665 patients, Tom, was it?
There were several thousand patients in the
Because there are a lot of myeloma patients in that group.
CLL patients, sorry. I was talking about CLL patients, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think all in all, they had more than 10,000 blood cancer, leukemia and lymphoma patients. So, in that study. But within the CLL community, yeah, I think you're right, around 600.
They had something like 1,000 multiple myeloma patients as well,
Yeah.
because I was in it.
And in that, they broke it down by blood cancer and the efficacy or not. And then the CLL Society came out with a statement. I don't know if you were part of that, weighing in on that, Tom. But because of all that, and because a booster shot, it's unknown if it would help us. And Tom, you're proof that perhaps not.
Right.
Legally or illegally getting a third shot.
Yeah, so I've had 3 Pfizers and a J&J, and I still haven't produced antibodies after, 4 vaccines. So not sure if having a booster would make a difference. If they say that it's recommended that we get a booster, I will get one. Just because we don't know how long. I've had, the Pfizer, they're now saying may have 6 months of efficacy. Well, I'm already past 6 months since my last dose. So.
And because of things like that, and because we know of other CLL patients who have gotten nothing, Christy, do you want to share as an example what you've done to try to help our cause for those of us? It doesn't seem like things are being done to see what can be done other than a booster.
Right. Yeah, just a few days ago, I don't remember when exactly it was, I emailed probably Monday or something. I just, I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's kind of frightening to me. I was one of those that tested with no detectable antibodies. And so I thought, we should really have access to the monoclonal antibody infusions prophylactically, because we have no defenses. Like we have nothing. The vaccines aren't working for a lot of us. And so I thought, well, okay, what can I do about this? And so I thought, well, my neighbor is a state senator. So I thought, well, I'm just going to start there and email him and see if he knows anybody who has any connections, to the FDA or anything. And as I started writing that, I thought of other people. And so I just started emailing senators and the FDA. I went to several places on their website, and then I emailed our CLL Women Strong group and just said, here's some things I did. I think I emailed ABC News, because why not? And just tried to start getting the word out there that, I think we need to advocate for ourselves and say, look, we just don't have really any options here, and where, it's affecting our work. It's affecting, for me anyway, how much time I can spend with my family, because my family's out there working, and, that puts me at risk, especially with Delta, because them being vaccinated is no longer necessarily a guarantee. And then some of the other women in our group started kind of jumping in and emailing. And one of the women in our group is Bernie Sanders' neighbor. So he's going to contact him. And so just trying to kind of use some of the connections maybe that some of us have to maybe start advocating and trying to draw attention to those of us who are in this situation that we need help here. We need something. And, I don't think it's unreasonable for us to ask for prophylactic antibody infusions, because we're just so high risk. So,
Tom, another member of our group, her husband's a physician, and he looked up if there were any clinical trials currently happening for that to be done, for monoclonal antibody to be used prophylactically. But I'm not sure if this kind of thing would be listed, right? If it's would it?
So there's a company called Adagio out of the Boston area that's doing a clinical trial. They're supposed to open it up to patients who, so previously they excluded anybody who had received the vaccine. And my understanding was they were going to open up their trial to people who had received the vaccine, but that were at high risk because of being immune compromised. I have not received any communication back from their clinical director, who told me he would reach out to me if they changed the criteria for getting into that trial. But it's a gamble. It's a placebo-controlled trial. And so you have a 50% chance that you're going to get nothing, or you got a 50% chance that you'll get their product, which would provide you with some protection, hopefully prophylactically. So right now, pretty much, I think as blood cancer patients, we all need to know about the antibody cocktail that's out there, that if we do test positive for COVID, we need to get on that cocktail immediately. Like, we don't wait till we get sick. We don't wait till we get hospitalized, because by then it may be too late. So, you know, that right now, I think is our biggest possibility, but I'm not familiar with any other trials at the moment. I know Brian Kaufman from CLL Society was in a trial, but he had not received the vaccine. And I think he was testing an AstraZeneca product that was a monoclonal antibody cocktail. But again, we don't know. You know, when we talk about the LLS study, I think one of the interesting things that's currently going on, but we don't have any data from yet, is they've decided that out of that 8, 10, 12,000 people that agreed to participate in the study, that they would pick 1,000 and they would test them to see what their T cell response was. And so the antibodies that we talk about are B cell antibodies. So for those of us with CLL, we have a B cell cancer. So we have abnormal B cells. So it was pretty unlikely that we were going to develop antibodies. I was kind of encouraged that the numbers that came out of the LLS study were higher than what came out of the Israeli study. Israeli was like less than 50, I think 48, 49, and LLS was 63% developed antibodies. But for people like myself that are on ibrutinib, it's dismal. It's under 13% of those patients that have developed antibodies. But again, to kind of take a positive look at it, the number of people who are have been vaccinated and then go on to develop COVID is still less than the number of people that are estimated to have some kind of an immune compromised condition. So this National Health Organization, or NIH rather, National Institute of Health, says that they estimate about 2.8 to 3.5% of the population has some kind of an immune compromised condition. And yet the percentages of people that are vaccinated who are being infected is significantly less. So I have to think theoretically we probably do have some T cell protection. T cell protection protects you from getting really, really sick. It doesn't protect you from getting COVID like the antibodies do. So the B cell antibodies protect you from getting COVID, and then the T cell protection is more to fight and so that you don't get severe disease. So it's, I think that the more information that comes out, the more questions that we have. It's just one of those situations where it's like nobody really knows. We're 16 months or more into this thing now, and it's like every day there's new questions, and it's, you know, it's frustrating for us on the front line as patients of what do we do? You know, like I'm trying to make a decision whether or not I travel or not myself, just like somebody else mentioned earlier. So, you know, but I'm planning a much longer trip, like jumping on a plane and crossing the pond. So, you know, do I go to Europe? Are the antibodies that we talk about being commonly available here available there? I mean, I just took out an insurance policy that will fly me home if I get sick over there and they can't treat me in the way that they would treat me in the United States. So, you know, we're leaning towards going, but because, you know, I think that we don't know how long this is going to last, and I think we still need to have a life. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is live life as well as best I can, but be as careful as I can.
Tom, if you get across the pond, so to speak, and you come down with COVID, who will fly you back?
So I just signed up for an insurance, and it's worldwide, that if you cannot get the care that you need where you are, they will fly you to where you can get the care.
Okay, well, I'm thinking that the major airlines probably wouldn't fly you because you've got COVID.
No, I'm thinking that they arrange some kind of a charter.
Okay.
You know, like a private plane or whatever to get you back.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They're not going to put you on a commercial flight.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
You know, I mean, as retired military, I do have the option of going to a military base in Europe and saying, hey, you know, fly me back to the U.S. when on your next evac flight. But
They may not want you, Tom.
they may not.
But then again, how can they resist a colonel?
Yeah, full colonel. I'm just one of those light colonels.
You could fly to Mexico and cross the border without a passport.
Yeah. Can I come back?
Can you swim?
Not when somebody's hanging on my neck.
So what Christy had just talked about, I do encourage people, if you happen to have any connections with people who may count. Now, the other thing is, another person we know wrote to, I mean, there's a place on the FDA website. They sent pretty much a form kind of note, but they did tailor it for each person a bit. But basically they said to ask your doctor, your oncologist. In our case would be our oncologist. Is that it, Christy?
Yes. So I did that. I messaged my oncologist today unsuccessfully. I said, you know, the FDA said that we could apply for compassionate use if our doctor feels that we could benefit from it, or that we are you know, appropriate for it. And they said, well, we think you're doing a great job of advocating for yourself, and good luck with that, basically, is what they said. That was not my CLL specialist. That was my local oncologist.
Yeah, you know, I kind of can see where they're coming from. I mean, they don't want to stick their neck out with the FDA or any kind of regulatory body, you know,
yeah,
with stuff that is still not proved. So, I
had mixed feelings about it. I can kind of understand, but then also, you know, we're such a unique population here that, you know, it's hard not to, I don't know, it's hard.
So I shared with you guys that I've had 3 Pfizers and a J&J. I did not share that with my CLL doctor.
Yeah.
Nor will I, because I will get the, Tom, that's no good. Who told you to do that? It's easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission. Tom Henry, rule number 3.
My husband and my daughter actually are thinking about illegally getting the 3rd Pfizer because they had it back in January. And, they're my best protection, and they're, yep.
Basically, you can walk into any pharmacy in California and get a shot, and they never ask any questions.
Nope.
That's how it is too here, I think.
I was,
I was asked, have you ever received the COVID vaccine? And I just said no.
oh,
It wasn't in court. I didn't perjure myself.
Are you hard of hearing?
you
Yeah.
are recorded.
Didn't
Oh
understand
my
the
God, my
question.
hearing aids were home.
Well, yeah, I don't know about I have such lymph node involvement that happened after the second shot and that hasn't gone down. And I will probably hold off based on that you got nothing extra and that a lot of my lymph nodes are still huge after the vaccine. I'm going to hold out until they decide if it will or will not. Well, what it is they determine will help us, I guess, is the better way to say it, like what Christy's saying. But there's been nothing in the media. They talk about transplant patients a lot, which is great for those who are transplant patients. But I'm going to have to go back on a crusade with the media, like before, about what happened, what about the immunocompromised. So now we're, not due to me, but maybe it helped. I have no clue. But due to, now they talk about immunocompromised patients, more people know about it, but they have to figure something out for us.
And that data that you mentioned, Michelle, is solid organ transplant, not like stem
Not
cell.
stem cell.
It's like,
Right.
we talked about earlier tonight. So, in those patients, apparently a significant number of those patients developed some antibodies, but weak antibody response. And so they've made the decision that giving them a booster, so it was a pretty high percentage that had an antibody response, but a low antibody response. So they're hoping that the booster will help them. But they still have not addressed those of us who did not mount any antibody response.
Through the LLS site where I got my test done, I had a low response. I think I had 126 and normal people had 250.
I'd take it. Mine was less than 0.4.
Wow.
Undetectable.
Well,
I have flown twice since then. I went back to Indiana in May for a wedding, and I went to the coaches retreat or summit in Utah last week. So, and I was very, very careful, double mask, lots of hand sanitizer. So,
Ellie, you were starting to say what an adequate antibody response was number-wise. What were you going to say?
250.
250. Okay.
That's one of the tests. There's another test that says if it's over 0.8. So there's two different tests.
Yeah. Again, nobody knows for sure what the magic number is.
They don't know.
No.
I'm on Rituxan, and I will be the rest of my life. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and that's the only treatment option pretty much for me. And so I kind of wonder if I would ever have any kind of antibody response, because, getting it every 6 months, you really don't get much of a chance to rebuild those B cells. And
yeah. How often do you get it? Every 6?
Every 6, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they're saying right off the bat, you should not receive the vaccine within 90 days of your last monoclonal antibody vaccine. So you would have to have really like perfect timing.
Yeah.
Like at the 91st day and,
yes.
3 weeks later, and then get your next one after that, of your Rituxan. So yeah, you're in a tough spot with that.
Yeah.
Well, and just like, Susan has left, the other Susan, Susie Q has left, but she's on Darzalex, which is a monoclonal antibody. So she had to probably time it as well.
Yeah.
So there is one thing that I noticed that changed since initially what they were saying about certain drugs like ibrutinib, like BTK inhibitors. And I believe in the beginning, they were talking about it wouldn't be effective. What was it? If it was within a year of taking it or 18 months maybe, but now it's up to 2 years. And
Yeah.
for me, it would have been within 2 years. And Tom, for you,
I've been on it since April of 2016. So, yeah, and I had that conversation last week at my, 4-month checkup, and my doctor said the same thing, that, he's more worried about my CLL coming back if I come off the ibrutinib than he is about the antibodies. So, because of me being 17p deleted. So
Now, are any of you getting IVIG infusions? And that's supposed to help. So
my understanding is that it does. You are getting some antibodies from the IVIG, but
and some of those people have COVID antibodies
right, from actually having had COVID,
from having COVID.
not from the vaccine. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, can I ask a question real quick?
sure.
Sure.
How about if you're not doing, how about if you're doing no treatment at all? Is it possible your antibodies are a little higher?
The people who were on watch and wait had the best response among CLL patients.
Okay. And how do you get tested for antibodies? Can my oncologist do that for me?
Yeah, the test called a semi-quantitative S protein test. It's you got a piece of paper?
Let me. I got it right here.
Put it in chat, Tom.
All right, it's LabCorp procedure 164090.
164090.
And that's LabCorp, Tim.
LabCorp.
It's got to be a LabCorp.
LabCorp.
It's amazing the amount of trivia that's in this brain.
There's a lot of trivia in this whole group.
I know.
It's valuable though.
It's
I
called.
just put it in the chat.
It's called. What do we got? 5 centuries of experience here, or whatever.
So, but you can't just walk into LabCorp and get a test like that, can you?
Yeah.
No, you gotta have a prescription.
Yeah.
I didn't. I just went on the LabCorp website and signed up for it, gave them $10, and they gave me an appointment.
$10?
Yep.
Wow.
Tim, you probably ought to get your other vaccines while you're watching weight. Pneumonia and.
Well, I've already had my shingles and my flu, but I guess I should get my pneumonia too, right?
Yeah, but wait. All right, wait until like September.
Okay.
There's a new pneumonia coming out. So right now, the recommended pneumonia vaccine is Prevnar 13, which protects against 13 strains of pneumonia. And there's a new one coming out called Prevnar 20.
That's available now. I had it last month.
You did?
My
They told me it would be released to across the country no later than September 1st. So ask in your area if they have the Prevnar 20.
Well, my son's a pharmacist, so I'll check. He should know all this stuff, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a great dad. The father of a fellow pharmacist.
Well, my late wife was a pharmacist also, so.
Oh man, you married well.
Yeah, I did. It was very, very beneficial to me all these years.
You married up.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I'm a CPA and I'm certainly married up. That's for sure.
I'm wondering if Tom's wife knows how lucky she is to be married to a pharmacist.
No, because she ignores my recommendations. Then you should do this. All right. My friend from Paraguay said I should do this. I think I'll do what they said.
I read on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
When I used
Now,
to
is that
work
because,
at CVS and people would come in and say, hey, can you make a recommendation on a cough syrup? And I'd go out there and I'd explain the different cough syrups and stuff. And they'd go, yeah, but my neighbor said buy this one. I said, then why the hell did you bother me?
So you used to work retail also, huh? Tom?
That was when I lived in New York and I could get away with that.
Tom, you used to work in retail?
I did at one time. No, I don't. I've done mostly hospital for about the last year.
Yeah, my wife worked for Walgreens. My son works for HEB, which is a Texas type chain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I actually at one point owned my own store.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
My son did his internship in the hospital up in Washington State.
Okay. Very, very cool.
I grew up in a drugstore. I wasn't my dad was a pharmacist, but I think I've told Tom, I couldn't wait to work. I had child labor. I started working in that store when I was 13.
My first and second daughters worked in the store, and my baby didn't get the chance, and she's never been the same.
Yeah, I worked as a pharmacy tech while I was going to college, and that's where I met my wife.
Wow.
Yeah. But
so you were almost a pharmacist.
yeah, come to find out, she got fired because she was messing around with the health. So it wasn't a good outturn, but that was with Eckert's, though.
Al, how's things down there in Arizona weather-wise?
Well, I'm in Texas. I don't know about Arizona.
I was asking Al.
Oh, okay.
You guys in Texas, you do everything big.
Yeah, we've been having storms here the last couple of days.
So
yeah, we're good down here. We've been having a lot of rain. I think Rick mentioned the other day he's got some he's got a lake out in the front now.
really?
He's been rowing in his front yard.
That's so unusual for Arizona to get rain day after day.
Yeah, we got pounded here for a while. This week has been dry, but they're supposed to come back this week. Yeah, we were dry big time.
I'm looking out the window here, Al, and it's coming back very soon.
Yeah.
I may have to pump water out of my pool in another day or so. It's been raining so much here.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
We have pictures down here. It looks like Vermont, not Arizona. I ain't kidding. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You could send all of it to California.
Yeah.
You guys are really in a drought, aren't you?
Yep.
Well, Sally, if you start getting rain, you'll know why. It's from all of us.
I'll take it. My oak trees need it.
Well, on that note, I think that's a really good one to wrap up. And I'll just give one more promo. August 30th, mark your calendars for the ANCAN Patient Power CLL Pharmacist Throwing Bones and Kicking Cancer in Heels webinar, but it's mostly ANCAN webinar on blood cancers and family and your family. And we have a great panel. We have great keynotes and your host. Wow. Well, I've heard a lot about her. I hear she's pretty good too.
Is she wearing the Wonder Woman suit? I know she's got the shirt on.
Oh yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. That's up to Rick.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. We'd love the Wonder Woman suit. That said, I've put the link in again. This will not be drop-in, so you'll need to register ahead of time, and we'll be sending out the flyer to everybody on the mailing list, and the flyer should be ready in the next couple of days. But if you go to the link right now, you can register right now, and then you'll get all the information. I also wanted to mention that the night before, we have another webinar of managing your healthcare team. And that's going to be focusing in on who do you need on your healthcare team beyond just your quarterback oncologist. You know, in blood cancers, it's quite common that you have your specialist oncologist and your local oncologist. But a lot of times in other cancers, that's not often the case. They don't know how to get people to work two oncologists to work together. Now, the person that's going to give the keynote and interview the panel is BJ Miller, Dr. BJ Miller. Some of you may know of. He has 13.5 million views to his TED Talk. He's pretty amazing. He's a palliative care doc by training. He's also a triple amputee, and he's incredible. And he has now his own company. I know him from my UCSF days, but he has his own organization called Metal Health, METTLE, Metal Health. So that's on the 29th, and then on the 30th we have the blood cancer webinar.
Hey guys, we have a newbie that just joined at the last minute here as we're wrapping up, but Deborah just came on, so maybe we could hear from Deborah and find out what's going on with her, what type of blood cancer she has, and where she is.
Yeah, sorry I didn't join sooner. I just completely lost the time. I have CLL. I'm still in the watch and wait, although things are getting to the point where I may need to think about treatment. I've had it since 2005, and it really wasn't an issue until COVID. I'm
And
in
where are you, Deborah?
Charleston, West Virginia.
Okay. So we have several CLL patients on here today. I'm Tom Henry. I'm a CLL patient. Michelle's a CLL patient. Christy is a CLL patient. Tim is a CLL patient. Susan is a CLL patient. And Lonnie is a CLL patient. So,
so it's him.
Predominates tonight, but we have several myeloma patients, and we have a polycythemia vera patient, and other nights we will have some lymphoma patients, and we have an ALL patient, and we were hoping to get an AML patient to join tonight. So with you joining, we're just about ready to wrap up. Did you have any questions or anything that you hope to get answered by joining us tonight?
Well, I guess it has probably been answered, but I guess the concern, of course, is with the Delta variant. And I mean, I've been in lockdown in protective isolation at home since April of last year, and I'm vaccinated, and I do have qualitatively have antibodies. So I was just sort of starting to loosen things up and go out a little bit, although still very restrictive. And now with no one else wearing masks, and with the Delta, I'm wondering if I shouldn't just go back into strict lockdown.
Yeah, we did talk about that a little earlier, and I think everybody's taken a little bit different approach. I think that, when you have opportunities to do things like, maybe eat outside in a restaurant instead of going inside, and, like, rather than get on an airplane, my wife and I have been doing some road trips. So we have a recreation vehicle that we keep up in upstate New York where my kids are. So we drive back and forth. It's a long haul from Tampa, Florida up there, where it would have been a 2-hour flight. But, you can still have some activities without having to be in complete lockdown. Yeah, I think everybody is pretty much in agreement that as blood cancer patients, we do need to be a little bit more careful than the average person.
Yeah, so you think it isn't necessary to kind of get more strict now?
Well, I mean, definitely wear a mask and definitely, uh, try to avoid situations where things are really, really tight. I mean, I had an unfortunate incident up in New York on Long Island where, even though I told somebody that wanted to get on an elevator without a mask, with me that I had blood cancer and that I was a high risk, she wanted to get on anyway. And my wife and I got off. It's just like, all right, you got to just like, there's some inconvenience that goes along with it, but you just have to like decide, are you going to like completely hibernate or are you going to just be really, really careful?
Yeah.
So can we get your email address so we can put you on our mailing list?
Oh, that would be fantastic because I really, I'm here all alone and this has just been a nightmare.
Yeah.
It would be great to get a little bit of support and stuff. So my email is D as in dog, E as in elephant, B as in boy, A, L as in love, B as in boy, E as in elephant at yahoo.com. So like Deb Albee at yahoo.com.
Okay. So we will put you on the list for our future meetings. And I run a website called cllpharmacist.com. And so I will add you to my website as well, which has a bunch of information for CLL patients.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, and I'm going to send you a list of CLL specialists in the U.S. I know there's none in West Virginia, but there are some in.
Well, I just started to see John Bird.
Oh, okay. Are you going to see him in Cincinnati or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I saw him once in Columbus.
Okay.
And I'm gonna now follow him to Cincinnati. So.
Okay, so that we weren't sure whether or not he was going to continue to see CLL patients in Cincinnati. So it's good to hear that he is. John Bird.
Well, I have an appointment for September, so.
Okay. Well, John is one of probably the premier doctors in CLL research. He set up a great program at Ohio State, and he's turned his program over to some really great CLL doctors. We had somebody on here earlier that was going to see Jennifer Wyack, one of his proteges, and so so you're in good hands. But we'll put you on the list for Can, and I'll put you on my list and keep you updated.
Oh, I'd be really, really grateful.
Oh, you're welcome.
We'll do that, Deborah, and I'll reach out to you as well.
And thank you, Michelle. That would be, thank you. Because I really, I mean, I live alone. And like I said, I've been pretty much in isolation since last April. And I'm going insane.
Okay.
Deborah, the other thing is we do record these meetings. We tell everybody at the beginning and it's in the reminders. And so you can go to our YouTube channel and we put that in the chat window. The chat window is the little question mark bubble. If you click on that, it'll open the chat window and we've put our YouTube channel in there. And this meeting should get posted there tomorrow. And you'll be able to listen to the whole discussion about the Delta variant, which probably is about an hour and a half in.
Yeah. Okay.
And we talked about it for about 15 or 20 minutes. So it was a pretty lengthy conversation.
Deborah, I think I misunderstood your address. Was it Delta?
No, yeah, it's the second one. So it's the DEBALBE at
Okay.
yahoo.com.
Okay. Very good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so Rick, you have it correct, and I will copy that YouTube.
Yeah, if you just click on that link, it'll open up for you, and then you can save it later. You don't need to copy it.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just totally.
Well, I'm glad we noticed you before we got off because we were about to pull the plug.
I know. I don't know what it was. I thought it was like 9 o'clock, and I said, "Oh, I've got to get on this meeting." And then I looked, and I said, "Oh, what have anyway?"
How did you hear
Well, I'm
about
glad
us?
you joined.
How did you find out about us?
On Facebook.
Okay. All right.
I think it was Michelle. Michelle's made an announcement on her Facebook.
Oh, that
Michelle
Michelle
Wonder
is on
Woman.
top of it.
Well, I'm always looking for things because, like I said, I feel very isolated. I don't know anyone else here, and to be honest, up until COVID, I mean, maybe this was just really stupid, but my previous oncologists in Tampa and Wilmington, North Carolina, and whatever, just said, "Oh, like we'll just monitor your blood counts every year, and don't worry about it, and you'll probably die from something else." So,
Don't you
and
love the messaging?
yeah, so to be honest, I just never really thought about it until this whole COVID thing came up. And actually at work they said, like you need to stop working, and it actually is, I lost my job. And so yeah, so that's when I really said I better start looking into this and take it more seriously, I guess.
Did you lose your job, but you didn't want to lose your job?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's really too bad because unfortunately, so many employers are just not being accommodating, with those of us that have blood cancers and that are at high
Yeah.
risk. So, yeah. Well, hopefully something else will come along that suits your needs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm 70, so
Oh, you're a young chickie.
yeah. But I had planned on kind of working until 75, and I guess that's just not going to happen now.
Well, I
So
got you by a couple of years, so
okay.
you're a youngin'.
Yeah. I don't know why my camera's not working. I gave permission.
You'll figure it out. So we meet on the first Thursday of every month,
Okay.
8 o'clock Eastern time.
Okay. That'd be
All right.
great. Yeah,
All right.
I promise I won't mess it up next time again.
All right, Deborah.
Thank you so much for including me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in September. Sounds like a
See
song.
you in September.
I hope
Oh
we'll
my
see
God.
everybody.
I guess everybody's old enough to know that song because there's some smiles.
Yeah.
And August 30th, as Rick was going to say, right, Rick?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
thank
Hey,
you.
well,
Bye.
Thank you
thanks so much, everybody.
Pleasure. Good night, everyone.
so much.